So we're doing a little follow-up here. We've been talking about armor in Battletech, and I want to share with you and expand upon some Tactica up here on my YouTube channel under the Battletech playlist, good damage versus bad damage. Now, this is my terminology. This is kind of an expression of tactics in play. You will utilize this. You'll think about this in your own kind of gaming DNA and find a way to explain it. So there's this idea in Battletech, how much do you want to press your luck? Meaning, as your mech takes damage, there reaches a point where I'm going to internals, and I've got ammo there. Or my arms just got blown off, and I've got my legs left, and I can get out of here, but I've still got a medium laser in my center torso. I'm going to keep blasting away. Yes, there are times when you take that headshot and you fail that consciousness check 3 times in a row, or you fall down, or from a trial of possession. These are all things that I've had happen to me during my Battletech career. Trial of possession, your summoner takes 1. Not even a PPC. Not even some sort of extended laser or pulse laser. Just 1 short-range missile, center torso, right to my summoner. Roll for location 1-1, okay, crit. Roll to confirm crit, 12s, 3 crits. Roll for crit location, engine. You're like, wait, what? And that was the opening salvo of the game. That happens enough in Battletech to simulate kind of the fog of war, and damage and just kind of wacky stuff happened. That tech forgot to close the ammo bay door to your mech, and it just went in there and blew up like a Death Star type thing. But for the most part, mechs, and tanks too, they take a lot of punishment, if you think about it. And most of the games that I play, when we go head-to-head, it's fun. We go till the machines are destroyed. We go till it's just absolute craziness on there. I should say in-game, there are times we have played, and I believe this fits the narrative better, forced withdrawal. Once it goes to internals, or once you take a certain amount of damage, your mech will automatically begin to retreat off the table, and you have a chance to disengage. That's a little bit more realistic, rather than fighting to the absolute death scrap heap. It also speeds up the game a little bit, but it does take that push your luck element out of there. And another great example, the Dragon Mech. Now, we all have our favorite mechs. I have kind of my first tier of mechs that I always need to play. I will find the battle value in there. And then there's machines which are pretty solid, but I don't play them enough simply because most of my battle value goes to the classics that I love playing. The Dragon is in that second tier. It's a pretty solid mech. I should play it more, but I can only squeeze in so much Battletech. And for this battle, I was playing the Dragon. So we're doing some recon against House Davian, and House Davian has a bunch of mechs hidden on the tabletop. And I'm identifying the terrain pieces and saying, well, okay, I think most likely they're there. They could be there also. That terrain piece is probably safe. And I've got a spider running around doing recon. I have a dragon kind of on the outskirts doing recon on there. A blip goes off. Fusion engines power up. Sensors start warning me. And 5 Davian mechs, like 80% of the strike force, just appear. And that's where they were hiding. And it's just my dragon. I'm going to eat 1 or 2 or maybe 3 turns of fire before my hunchback and a couple of other assets can get up there. And I'm like, this dragon's toast. Not that I want to sacrifice a mech, but I'm thinking, do I even really want to reinforce this mech? Do I want to throw other mechs into the meat grinder? I've lost it. You know, this mech warrior is in a lot of trouble on there with that. So if most of the Davian forces are there, now that they've all revealed themselves, would I be better off just fighting to the bitter end with this dragon and letting my other mechs kind of gang up on the lone Davian assets at different points in the game? All right, so we're going to fight it out to the bitter end. I love heroic last stands. This mech would not go down. I mean, this mech had its arms blown off, went to internals, took head damage on there. Rear armor is just blown away. Legs to internals, legs internally holding on by like 2 bubbles. It went the entire game, and it was still standing. And it's just like, what the heck is going on? 0 salvage. It would take that mech warrior, generations to repair the mech. There's nothing to repair, but it was still standing. That That is Battletech. So let's talk about good damage versus bad damage. I have my mech facing towards your mech. Doesn't matter what types or whatever. We can divide mech damage into kind of three areas. The left line, the right line, and the center line on there. And on the left line, obviously, it's going to be left torso, left arm, left leg. Same on the right. Center line is going to be center torso, front, rear, and the head on there. So good damage is where, as you are taking damage from a mech or other things shooting at you, it's spread out. And again, not that you ever want to take damage. You're going to do your best to avoid that. But for the sake of understanding armor, good damage versus bad damage, damage that is spread out is good damage. So if you hit me with a bunch of medium lasers and some missiles, good damage would be you roll for hit. I mean, we kind of speed things up. We roll to see each weapon that hits, and then we roll for location. So if the locations are like left arm, left torso, center torso, left leg, right arm, if they're spread out, that's good because you're filling out the bubbles equally as best you can. Bad damage is where you get hit with multiple weapons in a turn, and it's like left leg, right arm, left leg, center torso. Multiple hits to one location now really puts that, either if it goes to internals or even if it hasn't, if you're something like an assault or a heavy mech, that bad damage that is focused on one area makes that mech very, very vulnerable. So at some point before things go to internal, you're pressing your luck and you're saying, even if it's an assault mech, you're like, look, I've got like 4 or 5 armor bubbles left before it goes to internals. And yes, I have a lot of internals, but I have critical systems in there, or maybe ammo or weapons. So at some point, and certainly if it's gone to internals, at some point when that happens, you're going to look to protect that side of the mech. So if I take damage on the left angle, the left side of my mech, internals, then when it's my turn, I could fight to the bitter end. If possible, I'm going to try and turn my mech to the left so the right side is facing you. Because if we look at the hit locations, it depends on the facing of the mech to the firer. If I can pull that left side off the line, then for the most part, if the mech is still facing, my opponent is facing forward, it's going to spread the damage out to the less damaged areas. So we need to manipulate range, we need to manipulate weapons, we need to manipulate where we're moving with the mech. Now, of course, when I pull back like that or try to give you a side with more armor versus less armor, that's going to take some of my weapon systems out of the way. It's going to change targets. It's going to do all that. But that's what happens when you go to bad damage, and now you start thinking to yourself, I need to protect those internals. I need to start protecting those spots. Good damage versus bad damage. The longer you take good damage, and it's random for the most part, the more you take good damage, the more you can press your luck. As soon as you've taken bad damage, and this is terminology on here, now we got to really start looking with that and understanding how armor works in Battletech.